First off, from the American League East, I'm going to go with the Baltimore Orioles. They have the best all-around team, and for longevity purposes, I'm looking at the Yankees right now. Garrett Cole's hurt. Anthony Rizzo's coming off injury from last year. Who knows what happened with that concussion? Aaron Judge is made of glass, unfortunately, as much as I'd like to see him healthy. Giancarlo Stanton's looked slim down the offseason. Blue Jays have an all-around okay team. Their rotation's a big question mark. Kevin Gausman's the only guy that I think could be pretty good for them. When I look at the Orioles, I see Corbin Burns, Kyle Bradish, Adley Rutschman, Jackson Holliday should start out of spring training with how hot of the spring training he's had. I see the FanDuel odds for the Orioles to win the division at plus 150. I think it's very good. I think we got to take those odds, but in my opinion, the Orioles win this division. No argument. Now we can move on to the AL Central, which is a very toss-up division again. These teams are not very good. All of them are not very good. The Twins probably are the favorites. The Guardians close behind, but I'm going to be bold and go Kansas City Royals here. Bobby Witt's is primed for a big year. He's my MVP pick right now. Cole Ragans, he's been hyped up in the offseason. He's got high Cy Young odds. Vinny Pasquantino's coming off an injury. They signed Michael Wacha. They signed Seth Lugo from the Padres. They're looking decent. So for plus 950 here, I think the Royals are a good shout, especially in a weaker division. I think they've got a good chance of winning it here. Moving on to the American League West, my pick's the Rangers here, reigning World Series champions. Right now, the FanDuel has the Astros, and all betting lines have the Astros is minus money. So heavy favorites to win the division. I feel like it's very disrespectful to a team that just won the World Series. They also have Wyatt Langford, who's raking in spring training. Corey Seager's going to have a full, healthy year. If he played 20 more games last year, he arguably could have won MVP. Those numbers were insane. Adolis Garcia's primed for another bounce back. All these players on this team, they're going to click. I think they're better than the Astros. The Astros have a big question mark at the bottom of the rotation. I don't think it'll be a problem for the Rangers to win this division. I would not be surprised if the Astros or the Mariners keep it close for the rest of the year, but I think this team has what it's got. If Jacob deGrom can stay healthy, Max Scherzer can stay healthy, they should not have any issues. Moving on to the National League East, this is the Braves division to lose. Their lineup's way too good. They've got reigning MVP Ronald Acuna, Austin Riley, Ozzie Albies, Spencer Strider. In the offseason, they just traded for Chris Sale. Michael Harris is in center field. Top to bottom, this team's unbeatable. The only people that'll give them a fight in the National League are the Dodgers in the regular season. We know once come playoff time, the Phillies are going to kick their ass, but that's just my opinion. The Mets are not very good. I'd be surprised if they make the playoffs. The Marlins, I don't see them doing anything. And the Nationals have a lot of young talent, but they're not going to be good for another 5 years. So look at this division. I hope the Phillies win. I'd love to see that, but at minus 290 here, Braves are my clear favorite. It's another very tough division to predict. My pick here is going to be the Reds. I think they've got a lot of young talent in that division. They're going to be good for a while. The Pirates are there on the come up. The Cubs have a decent team, but overall, I think the Reds have the best sound team. Nick Lodolo is looking to have a bounce back here. I think he could be a really good young arm. Ellie De La Cruz had a really bad second half, but in spring training, he's been insane. They've got Matt McLain. Just this team, top to bottom, they do have a lot of big infield prospects, but I think some of them will hit. And by the end of the season, we'll see the Reds on top in that weak division. Finally, we find ourselves in the NL West, and I don't think any division could be more clear-cut here. The Los Angeles Dodgers have built a super team this offseason. People they've added, absolutely insane the last couple of years. You've got Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, now Shohei Ohtani, Yamamoto, Max Muncy, goes on and on. This team is just absolutely disgusting. And I don't see any other team in this division challenging them. Diamondbacks might win 85, 90 games. The Giants made some good moves, but I just don't think them or the Padres, even the Rockies, no one's on their level. No one in the MLB should beat this team, and if they don't win the World Series, I would say it's a very disappointing year for the Los Angeles Dodgers. The American League is wide open for the MVP race right now. Same with divisions. As mentioned before, I don't know who's going to win, who's going to win MVP, but if I were to predict someone, I got Bobby Witt here. Tying into my prediction for the AL Central with the Royals winning, the Guardians and Twins did not improve very much. The Royals added a lot of good pieces. Pasquantino's coming back. He'll be good protection behind Bobby Witt in the lineup. I could see him being an all-star starter and a Platinum Glove finalist. I think it's pretty clear here. Fangraphs has Bobby Witt right now projected to hit 278 with 329 on base and 832 OPS, 31 homers, 102 RBIs, and 42 stolen bases. I think the stolen base is pretty high, but in the American League, I've got no doubts in my mind that Bobby Witt could have a chance of finishing at least top 5, but I'm going to be bold here and take him to win it all. Moving on to the National League, I've got Fernando Tatis Jr. Looking at last season with the Braves, Acuna and Olsen both had incredible seasons. Tatis has also been insane in the outfield with his defense. Fully healthy year of Tatis could only be a positive. Last year, he had 29 defensive runs saved, which is insane. It's 6 more than any other player in the MLB. If he gets 10 to 15 more games under his belt, full season, Padres could be a sneaky team. They might be good. People are overlooking them, especially in that division. Dodgers are way better. They'll get more credit for team success compared to the 98 Bulls roster the Dodgers have drawn up. It'll be tough to beat Acuna, Betts, all those players, but I want it to be another bold pick here. Fangraphs has Tatis sitting at with 277 average, 350 on base, 872 OPS, with 37 bombs, 106 ribbies, 27 stolen bases. I think you could easily go 30-30 here. And my pick's Tatis. He's bound to have a good year if he stays healthy. The American League Cy Young is a hard one to predict, especially with all the awards in the American League. I would take Garrett Cole all day if his arm wasn't looking like rubber. Who knows if he'll be back mid-April. He might miss the whole season. He's going to keep getting hurt. Hopefully not. But I'm going to take Corbin Burnes here. FanDuel's got him at plus 800, but this division will be hard for him to replicate his success that he had in that weaker NL Central. The American League East is a really, really top-heavy team. All 5 teams are really good. He's going to be facing them a lot throughout the season, but I think he'll still be good. 45% of the games he played in the NL Central will not be against the Pirates, Reds, Cubs, and Cardinals this season. I wanted to take someone from the AL Central, but Tariq Skubal and Cole Reagans are too big a question mark, especially for their low odds to make a splash this year. I expect Shane Bieber to not be on the Guardians by the trade deadline or the All-Star break. His projections are really high for some reason. Everyone in the AL East pitchers might be a nightmare, but Fangraphs has Corbin Burnes going 12-10 with a 3.77 ERA and 208 strikeouts. I could see his wins being in the 20s, especially on a top-heavy, good offensive team like the Orioles this year, and that ERA can get down a little bit. But at the end of the day, I think Corbin Burnes is a good selection. Now that brings us to the National League Cy Young, where I've got Phillies' very own Zach Wheeler, my Phillies. He recently just signed a 3-year, $126 million extension. He did have a rough start the last season, but he was dealing with lingering injury coming out of spring training. His second half was fantastic, maybe one of the best in baseball. He had a sub-3 ERA, 93 strikeouts, and 87.5 innings pitched. If he can stay healthy, this might be the year for Wheels. He's been a workhorse for the Phillies the last few seasons. I think he'll be really good in that back end of that rotation. Division might be hard. Their schedules look very, very easy to start the year, so he can build a case before the All-Star break. Fangraphs has him going 13-10 with a 3.55 ERA and 199 strikeouts. I could easily see him winning 15 games, having a sub-3 ERA, 200 strikeouts. I think Zach Wheeler is a good pick here. Taking a look here at the Rookie of the Year. The American League, I was recording this right before the news broke, but Jackson Holliday is not making the roster out of spring training, especially with how good of a spring training he's had, as I mentioned earlier in the video. Good luck to teams in the AL East against the Orioles. They have such good young talent. Everyone in the minor leagues is doing really good in spring training. It might be hard for him to win Rookie of the Year with how much talent's on that team, but I hope they bring him up in the first couple of weeks. His first 2 years in the minor leagues, he had a slash line of 322, 449 with a 938 OPS. He had 13 home runs and 84 RBIs in 145 games. If he can get those numbers up a little bit, we can be looking at a possible MVP candidate for years to come. So I'm still sticking with the Jackson Holliday in the AL. I would go Wyatt Langford, but Fangraphs got Jackson Holliday at 255 average, 345 on base with a 726 OPS with 8 bombs and 49 RBI. If he plays good 100 games, I think he could make a very good case. National League for the Rookie of the Year, I'm going to be looking at Yoshi Yamamoto. I think it's a pretty easy pick here. He did get lit up in his first start in the Korean baseball series, but the only other guy I could see making a case is Jung-Ho Lee or Jackson Chourio. Coming over from Japan and signing the biggest deal of all time for a player to never play a single inning in the major leagues has to be a sign of something. In his 7 years, his age is 18 to 24 years in Japan, he's by far the best pitcher in the league. In 188 games, he had a 1.72 ERA. It obviously won't be this low in the MLB, but it's something to take note of. Fangraphs has Yamamoto projected about 14 wins, but if he stays healthy and plays the whole year, that Dodgers team is so gross. He could have 20, maybe 25 wins. I know that's shooting high. But Fangraphs has him with a 3.80 ERA, 14-8 win-loss ratio, and 194 Ks. But I'm looking here. I think he wins 20 games, no doubt. Even though he had a rough start, I think he turns it around. After all my division predictions, all my awards predictions, we find ourselves in the playoffs. For the American League wildcard, I've got the Yankees taking the first spot, Astros taking the second, Angels taking the third. Surprisingly, losing Shohei Ohtani, I think this is the year the Angels finally do it. They've added a couple good pieces, but Angels, Royals, there's no way that happens, but we are here to have fun. On the bottom side of the bracket, we've got Yankees, Astros, which would be a good ALCS matchup the last couple of years, but they find themselves in the wild card. I've got the Yankees taking down the Astros, and I've got the Angels in a surprising upset taking down the Royals. On the National League side of things, I've got the Phillies taking the first wild card, Diamondbacks taking the second, Padres taking the third. I think either of those could flip very easily. But in the wild card round, we've got the Padres and the Reds. I've got the Padres over the Reds. They match up with the Dodgers. I've got the Phillies over the Diamondbacks. And they match up with the Braves for a good old rematch of the last couple of years where the Phillies have kicked their ass. Now we can slide back on over to the left side of the bracket. We've got the Orioles and Angels. I think the Orioles get that job done no matter who they face. I know last year in the playoffs they didn't look very good. This is new year, new roster, better pitching. I think that team makes their way to the ALCS. Flip down to the bottom. Got the Rangers, Yankees. I think we get a big upset here. Well, not an upset to maybe some people, but the Yankees take that series. They got all their players healthy. Aaron Judge is back. Stanton's healthy. Garrett Cole's back. He's not hurt. He didn't have Tommy John. That sets up for an Orioles-Yankees AL East ALCS matchup. Division series in the NL will be a tough one to predict. I do think the Dodgers take care of the Padres on the top side of things. But moving down to the Phillies, Braves, the last couple of years, Phillies have had their number. Maybe this year's different. I still think Phillies have the team for the playoffs. They've got such a good lineup, such a good top three pitching. I think they take down the Braves. I think it goes 5 again. Who knows? The Braves could very well win this, but as a Phillies fan myself, I hope they can win. We find ourselves back in the AL East matchup of the Orioles-Yankees in the ALCS. I think the Yankees take care of business here. I'd love to see them get back in a World Series. This series will be headlined by Jackson Holliday versus Aaron Judge, hopefully. I think it'll be a great one. But the Yankees take it in 6 or 7 fairly easily behind the pitching and Garrett Cole. Carlos Rodon has a good playoff. I'd love to see what they can do, but I've got the Yankees as my World Series prediction in the American League. Now in the National League, we got the Dodgers, Phillies. As much as I'd like to take my Phillies here to go back to the World Series, there's absolutely zero chance anyone's beating the Dodgers in the National League. I could see the Braves doing it, but the Dodgers have way too good of a roster, way too good of a lineup. No one's beating them, and they find themselves up against the Yankees. In 7, the Phillies push it, but they find themselves against the Yankees in the World Series. Finally got ourselves to the World Series. I know this one's very weird playoff prediction. We got some teams in here that maybe shouldn't be here, maybe won't make it. But like I said before, we're here to have fun. I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts in the comments on who you think might win the divisions, who you think might win MVP, who you think might win Cy Young, who you think might win the World Series. But now we can take a look, talk a little bit about the New York Yankees. You can call me crazy for this one. As much as I hate the Yankees, if this offense is healthy, it's one of the best in baseball. I don't see a world where any team could bash head-to-head in the American League in a 7-game series. My only worry for them is injuries. Half this team is injury-prone. Aaron Judge has started the season healthy. This American League can go any direction, especially the AL East. I wouldn't completely count out the Red Sox there, but the Yankees, I like them here in this matchup against the Dodgers. My National League champion Dodgers here, they're way too powerful of a roster to lose to any of those teams. If it happens any other way, I would be pleasantly surprised. Everyone's hating on the Dodgers right now for the super team they built. I can see them adding a big arm like Shane Bieber by the trade deadline if the rotation needs some help. Bobby Miller should have a good season. All those guys coming back. Tyler Glasnow is coming off injury. They're going to be really good. No one's beating them in the National League. As much as I love to take my Phillies to take over the Dodgers, I didn't have them winning. Now I got the Dodgers against the Yankees in the World Series. This is very tough, though. I'm looking at matchups, pitching matchups, head-to-head, fielding, defense, everything you could ever think of. But in my opinion, the Yankees, in the end, come up strong. They beat the Dodgers in a 7-game series. I've got Anthony Volpe hitting a walk-off in the Game 5, Game 6. Dodgers win, goes to Game 7 in Dodger Stadium, and this one's a grueler. You got Carlos Rodon getting the glove because they had Garrett Cole try to close out Game 6 but fail, versus Bobby Miller in the World Series. And this matchup will be one for the ages. This will be a great Game 7, in my opinion. If it'll go any other way, I'll be happy. I'm just happy to have baseball back. But the Yankees are my champion. Again, thank you guys for watching. This is my first video on my channel, so hopefully any good feedback, any bad feedback, I would appreciate. You can leave that down in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share as much as you can. But thank you guys very much. I had a great time editing, making this video. It took me a while, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you.